behavior of our troops online. To that end, I want to thank and recognize the services for their new proactive social media policies. Use them. Anonymous, online, or keyboard complaining is not worthy of a warrior. It's cowardice masquerading as conscience. Anonymous, unit-level social media pages that trash commanders, demoralize troops, and undermine unit cohesion must not be tolerated. Again, O3s, E6s. Sixth, we must train and we must maintain. Any moment that we are not training on our mission or maintaining our equipment is a moment we are less prepared for preventing or winning the next war.
Don't you think they know that?
That is why today, at my direction, we are drastically reducing the ridiculous amount of mandatory training that individuals and units must execute. We've already ended the most egregious. Now we're giving you back real time. Less PowerPoint briefings and fewer online courses, more time in the motor pool, and more time on the range.
So why you have all the generals there?
Money, equipment, weapons, and parts to train and maintain, and then you take it from there. You all know this because it's common sense. The tougher,
so why are you repeating it?
The standards in our units, the higher the retention rates in those units. Warriors want to be challenged. Troops want to be tested. When you don't train and you don't maintain, you demoralize. And that's when our best people decide to take their talents to the civilian world. The leaders who created the woke department have already driven out too many hard chargers. We reverse that trend right now. There is no world in which high-intensity war exists without pain, agony, and human tragedy. We are in a dangerous line of work. You are in a dangerous line of work. We may lose good people. But let no warrior cry out from the grave, if only I had been properly trained. We will not lose warfighters because we fail to train or equip them or resource them. Shame on us if we do. Train like your warriors' lives depend on it, because they do. To that point, basic training is being restored to what it should be. Scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged. Yes, they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits. This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law, but they can use tried and true methods to motivate new recruits.
Motivate. Is that what you call getting their ass whipped? What happens when you beat a dog too long? He turns and he bites you.
Demands that everyone in every job must be ready to join the fight if needed. A core credo of the Marine Corps is every Marine a rifleman. It means that everyone, regardless of MOS, is proficient enough to engage an enemy threat at sea, in the air, or in a so-called rear area. We need to ensure that every
hey, what's up, JR Jimenez? What's going on?
Because the next war, like the last, will likely not have a rear area.
Marathon is rewarding fans with savings of up to $1 per gallon. Marathon.
Yeah, I'm just rewatching this thing, you know, because
as President Trump rightly pointed
he's
out,
being a real good asshole.
The United States has not won a major theater war since the name was changed to the Department of Defense in 1947.
We're not in the business of fucking war. They are the defense of the United States citizenry.
Why? Well, there's a number of reasons. But it was a limited mission with overwhelming force and a clear end state. But why did we execute and win the Gulf War the way we did in 1991? There's two overwhelming reasons.
Did we win the Gulf War?
One was President Ronald Reagan.
I don't think so.
Gave an overwhelming advantage. And two, military and Pentagon leadership had previous formative battlefield experiences. The men who led this department during the Gulf War were mostly combat veterans of the Vietnam War.
Wow.
They said never again to mission creep or nebulous end states. The same holds true today. Our civilian and military leadership is chock full of veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan who say never again to nation building and nebulous end states. This clear-eyed view, all the way in the White House, combined with President Trump's military buildup, postures us for future victories if, and we will, and when we embrace the War Department. And we must. We are preparing every day. We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense
Wait a
is
minute.
what you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary.
They're to defend the United States, you dumbass.
War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash.
If you agree with what he's saying,
Punishing violence.
let me know.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader. And it's all my E6 squad leaders ever wanted, back to that E6 rule. We let our leaders fight their formations, and then we have their back. It's very simple, yet incredibly powerful.
So you're going to allow people to commit war crimes?
For America's trade policy. It was a landmark day. Well, today is another Liberation Day. The liberation of America's warriors, in name, in deed, and in authorities. You kill people and break things for a living.
Wow.
We're not politically correct and don't necessarily belong always in polite society. We are not an army of one. We are a joint force of millions of selfless Americans. We are warriors. We are purpose-built, not for fair weather, blue skies, or calm seas. We were built to load up in the back of helicopters, 5 tons, or Zodiacs in the dead of night, in fair weather or foul, to go to dangerous places, to find those who would do our nation harm, and deliver justice on behalf of the American people in close and brutal combat if necessary.
There you go. On behalf of the American people. They fight for us, not you, buddy.
We fight because we love what's behind us. You see, the Ivy League faculty loungers will never understand us, and that's okay. Because they could never do what you do. The media will mischaracterize us, and that's okay. Because deep down,
you're the one that's broadcasting this with the media. After you give these generals a dressing down.
That our citizens can live peacefully. Lethality is our calling card, and victory our only acceptable end state. In closing, a few weeks ago, at our monthly Pentagon Christian prayer service,
separation of church and state, you dummy.
It's a simple yet meaningful prayer for
separation of church and state. Religion should not be brought into the American government. That's where you're fucking up at.
Most of all, Lord, please keep my soldiers safe. Lead them, guide them, protect them, watch over them. And as you gave all of yourself for me, help me give all of myself for them. And amen. I have prayed this prayer many times since I've had the privilege of being your secretary.
For 8 months.
And I will continue to pray this prayer for
remember that.
As you command and lead our nation's finest. Go forth and do good things, hard things. President Trump has your back, and so do I. You'll hear from him shortly. Move out and draw fire, because we are the War Department.
Yep, that's what I think about that. Silence. Just hear that? Silence.
The Secretary of War.
We've heard from me. So now it's the main event. Our Commander-in-Chief. I have the privilege every single day of watching him put America first, of ensuring that our warfighters have everything they need. His compass is clear. It's easy to follow.
Is he?
Because you know he has our back.
I mean,
I was thinking back.
he said 2 countries got into a war, and he stopped that war. And they never been at war. He said that at the UN. So is he really easy to follow? His compass is right. You damn right. He doesn't know where the fuck he's going.
I would be honored to come in order to address and thank the incredible Americans who defend our nation. He has a heart full of gratitude.
When are they gonna start selling us shit?
And we get a chance to see it every day. And I'm honored that this morning you all firsthand get to see it as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump.
Notice, not one of them clapped. Nobody clapped. Nobody clapped. They all stood at attention. This is how the military is supposed to react. He's not General Patton.
Great job you're doing, too. Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very... Don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time.
That's the press corps laughing. That's the press corps laughing.
Anything you want. You can do anything you want. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future.
They're laughing like, yeah, right, bitch.
Okay, because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time. But I want to thank Secretary Hegseth, General Kane, General Raisin Kane for a reason they call him that. When I heard his name, I said, you're the guy I'm looking for. The Joint Chiefs of Staff and so many others in this room who together represent the greatest and most elite fighting force in the history of the world, the United States military. I'm very proud of our military. I rebuilt the military during my first term. It's one of the greatest achievements. We had the greatest economy in history, and I built the military. Those are the 2 things I say more than anything else.
You didn't build the military, though.
The borders. Very good. Borders.
Ronald Reagan did this.
Jails and prisons. And
Ronald Reagan did this.
over the last 4 years. I'll never forget what happened.
Ronald Reagan spent $1 trillion on the military in the 80s. This is where we get the stealth bomber. All this new jet fighter pilots, we got F-35s and all this stealth technology came from Ronald Reagan's investment.
Thank you for your unwavering devotion to the armed forces and to the country. We've all sworn a sacred oath to defend. We all have that oath, every one of us. I'm thrilled to be here this morning to address the senior leadership of what is once again known around the world as the Department of War. I know Pete spoke about it. He gave a great speech, I thought. Great speech. I don't want him to get so good. I hate that. You know, no, I hate it. I almost fired him. I said, you can't. I don't want to go on after that. No, he gave a great speech, but he talked about Department of War. We were sitting there. I said, didn't it used to be called the Department of War? And he goes, yes, sir. They changed it like in the early 50s. So we won the First World War.
There's a reason why they changed it from the Department of War to the Department of Defense.
And then we went away woke. That was probably the first sign of wokeness. And we changed it to defense instead of war. And I said, what do you think? How do you think if we changed it back? Would that be a nice idea? And Pete loved it immediately. Some people thought about it. You know, they gave it a little thought. But in the end, We did it. And I have to be honest, it's so popular. I thought it would be met with fury on the left, but they're sort of giving up. I must be honest with you. They've had it. They've had it with Trump. They've been after me for so many years now. Here we are.
Because you're a piece of shit.
Come to the White House anytime you'd like. No,
I'm sorry I voted for your
they're
dumb ass.
people. But all over, it's been so popular. It's been very popular. I really thought that we were going to have to sort of fight it through. There's been no fight. There's been no fight. Like what I called the Gulf of America, the Gulf of America, because to me it was always the Gulf of America. I could never understand. We have 92% of the frontage.
No, you don't. No, we don't. No, we do not.
350 years they were there before us. It was called the Gulf of Mexico. I just had this idea. I'm looking at a map. I'm saying, we have most of the frontage. Why is it Gulf of Mexico? Why isn't it the Gulf of America? And
You're worried about changing the Gulf of America instead of worried about America.
And then one of them, AP, took us to court, and we won. And the judge, who was a somewhat liberal judge, said the name is the Gulf of America because AP refused to call it the Gulf of America. They wrote, they're not a good outfit, by the way. They call it the Gulf of Mexico. I said, no, the Gulf of America is the name. And the judge actually said that, in fact, you can't even go into the room because what you're doing is not appropriate. The name is the Gulf of America. Google Maps changed the name. Everybody did, but AP wouldn't.
No, they didn't.
We won in court.
They only changed it for the Americans. That's it. You go in any other country, it's still the Gulf of Mexico.
Name change reflects far more than the shift in branding. It's really a historic reassertion of our purpose and our identity and our pride. That's when we go with the word war. And we want war because we want to have no wars, but you have to be there.
If you want to have no wars, then why call it the Department of War?
Since we're here almost 9 months, and I've settled 7, and yesterday we might have settled the biggest of them all, although I don't know, Pakistan, India was very big. Both nuclear powers, I settled that. But yesterday could be the settlement in the Middle East. That hasn't happened for 3,000 years. I said, how long have you been fighting? 3,000 years. So that's a long time. But we got it, I think, settled. We'll see. Hamas has to agree. And if they don't, it's going to be very tough on them. But it is what it is. But all of the Arab nations.
I'm not going to bed.
Nations have agreed. Israel
Chad.
agreed. War is very strange.
I don't need to go to bed, Chad.
The easiest one of them all is Putin. I said,
Oh, God.
it's a war that would have never happened. If I were president, that would not even elections. And it didn't happen for 4 years. But I knew Putin very well, and I thought it would be easy. That would turn out to be the hardest of them.
Fuck you. You lucky I know you. I'm going to see you tomorrow, though.
We did yesterday.
Go to bed.
Many different capacities and many different.
He ain't my fucking twin. He's not my twin. Why your twin on the TV right now? That's because I just can't believe this motherfucker is saying the shit that they've been saying.
Get them together and get it done. But the only way we can do that is through strength. I mean, if we were weak, they wouldn't even take my phone call. But we have extreme strength.
They take your phone call and then laugh behind your back. That's what they're doing. They're not even like doing it behind your back. They're laughing with other presidents and heads of state.
Incompetent people. And that showed, I think.
I am. I am.
I watched that and it was so
You lit.
Day in the history of our country. And now we're back.
We're back.
We're not going to have any of that crap happen, I can tell you. That was terrible, so terrible. Together we're reawakening the warrior spirit, and this is a spirit that...
Call them and tell them I want to join the cause? What cause? What cause? What cause is this?
The ferocious and yielding power of Patton Bradley, the great General Douglas MacArthur. These are all great men in this effort. We're a team, and so my message to you is very simple. I am with you, I support you, and as president, I have your backs 100%. You'll never see me even waver a little bit. That's the way it is. And that includes our great police officers and firemen and all of these people that are doing so well. Together over the next few years, we're going to make our military stronger, tougher, faster, fiercer, and more powerful than it has ever been before. I rebuilt our nuclear, as you probably know, but we'll upgrade that also and just hope we never have to use it. We have to
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
So,
He's got my back 100%. Okay. Okay.
I really wanted to show it to you. But when you see the result of what's left, you never want to use that. Never, never, ever. We were a little bit threatened by Russia recently, and I sent a submarine, nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever made. Number one, you can't detect it. There's no way. We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China in submarines. Russia's actually second in submarines. China's third, but they're coming up. They're coming up. They're waiting to lower in nuclear too, but in 5 years they'll be equal. They're coming up. And you don't have to be
5 years, he won't even be there.
1/20th what you have now and still do the damage. That would be, that'd be so horrendous. But I announced that, based on his mention of nuclear, and it was really a stupid person that works for him mentioned the word nuclear. I moved a submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the coast.
You just told him you sent 2 submarines, a submarine or 2.
That people throw
You
around.
just said you sent 2, dummy. That's not a good cleanup.
I call it the N-word. There are 2 N-words, and you can't use either of them.
Oh, yeah?
You can't use either of them. And frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer.
And we all will be dead.
Everyone even have to think about. But when somebody mentions it, that submarine started immediately thereafter.
He is not going to be the only president. I swear to God, he will not be the president for a 3rd term. There will be a uproar in America if he becomes the president for 3rd term. No.
Apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all.
It's only been one president that did 3 terms.
We're way ahead of everybody.
Only one. Alexa, how many presidents have done 3 terms in the United States?
That's what it is. It's really reaching its
Only one U.S. president
unprecedented
has served
heights.
more than 2
Over
terms.
the past 8 months,
Franklin
new
D.
enlistments.
Roosevelt,
I'm so
who
proud
served
of
3
this.
full terms,
Have
and
surged to
Franklin Ford
record highs
before his
that
death
we
in
never had.
1945.
And
There you go.
we used to have recruiting shortages. If you remember, about a year and a half ago, I was at the beginning stage of a campaign, and things came out that you couldn't get people to join the armed forces. And by the way, the police also, fire department. I always put the fire department in because they're great. They're great, and I got 95% of their vote too. That helps. When you get 95% of their vote, you always have to mention it. But they're great, and they're brave. In our inner cities, which we're going to be talking about, because it's a big part of the war now. It's a big part of it. But the fire ladders and you have people shooting at them while they're up in ladders. I don't even know if anybody heard that. And I said, don't talk about it much, but I think you have to. Our firemen are incredible. They're up in one of these ladders that goes way up to the sky, rescuing people, and you have animals shooting at them, shooting bullets at firemen. And they're way up in death territory. You fall off that ladder, it's over. It's over. They don't even have to inspect you when you hit the ground. And you have people shooting bullets at them in some of these inner cities. We're not going to let that happen. So I always mention the firemen because that's actually a big problem.
No, that's not. That cannot happen. It says 2 terms only. Only 2.
Boxes can't invite you to a caring group. Buy a stroller on OfferUp.
Sarah will.
The Navy, Air Force, and Space Force all met or surpassed their recruiting goals 3 months early. That never happened before. And the Army did even better. Congratulations, Army. They met everything, and these were the highest standards because we're making it larger. So these were much higher standards than you had 4 years ago, 3 years ago, during the sleepy Joe Biden era. And the Army did it.
He's got more power than Diddy. How do I pin that one? I gotta pin that one. Yep, pin message. There we go. I'm pinning that one.
We really dominated that sphere now. We're way behind China and Russia, and now we dominate. Space Force turned out to be a very important thing. I said from the beginning, you know, when Biden came into office, he wanted to terminate. He said, and this thing called Space Force, so we could get rid of that.
He does what the fuck he wants. He got more power than Diddy.
And as time goes by, it will get more and more important. But we're now at 106% of our recruiting targets for the year, and that's the best in far more than a generation. And for the Marines, morale is so strong that the Marine Corps will meet its 2026 retention targets before the end of October, which never happens. And that's the earliest it's ever happened in the history of our country. And it makes you feel good, you know. I felt guilty. I go make a speech in front of never people like you. You are the leaders, but people, soldiers. And I felt embarrassed because there'd be stories about, you know, we couldn't fill up our Army, Navy, Air Force. We couldn't fill them up. And it was headlines. It was during Biden's 4 years. The auto pen, I call him the auto pen. That's, how would you like to have your thing signed by an auto pen? You know, when I have a general and I have to sign for a general because we have beautiful paper, the gorgeous paper, I said throw a little more gold on it. They deserve it. Give me
Throw a little bit more gold on it.
We used to sign a piece of garbage. I said, this man's going to be a general, right? Yeah. I don't want to use this. I want to use the big, beautiful, firm paper. I want to use the real gold writing when you talk about the position, and they're beautiful. And, but how would you like to have that where some kid sitting in the back office is having it signed with an auto pen? I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals. I said, somebody works his whole life. He gets into maybe the academies or wherever, but however you got there, and you go through years of work, and now you become an admiral or general or whatever.
Admiral, general, or whatever.
The United States signs your commission, as you know, and that commission is beautifully displayed. And I sign it. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. But I signed it very proudly, and I always think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this? It's just so disrespectful. To me, it's just totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by auto pen, except for when he gave his son, Hunter, pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was the pen.
Why are you talking about this dude's signature? You got these generals and you're talking about signatures.
Every patriot who put on the uniform is to ensure that American military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet, not merely for a few years, but for the decades and generations to come, for centuries. We must be so strong that no nation will dare challenge us, so powerful that no enemy will dare threaten us, and so capable that no adversary can even think about beating us. And we've had it recently. I had India and Pakistan were going at it, and I called them both. And in this case, I used trade. I'm not going to trade with you. You start two nuclear nations, big nuclear. And no, you cannot do that. I said, yes, I can.
Did he just sound like he was from Pakistan and India? Did he said no? You know, he's wild. He's wild. He's wild.
And
He just said,
stuff that
they
works.
said, no, 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 no.
That was just the beginning.
Wow.
Sucked it.
He's wild for that.
The Prime Minister of
No, no, no,
Pakistan,
no.
along with the Field Marshal, he's a very important guy in Pakistan, and he was here 3 days ago. And I didn't even realize it as beautiful as he said it, but he said that to a group of people that were with us, 2 generals, but a group. He said this man saved millions of lives because he saved the war from going on, and that war was going to get very bad.
You right? Right?
President
Right?
millions and
He gonna have them come for his ass.
war.
He said, I talked to India and Pakistan and I just used trade. And they called me and said, you can't, no, 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 no. They said, no, 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 no. That's wild.
The Congo with Rwanda.
Uh-huh.
They've been fighting for 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got that one done. And very proud of it. So if this works out, we'll have 8 in 8 months. That's pretty good. Nobody's ever done that. Will you get the Nobel Prize? Absolutely not. They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing. They'll give it to a guy that wrote a book about the mind of Donald Trump and what it took to solve the wars. And he'll get the Nobel Prize will go to a writer. No, but well, let's see what happens. But it's be a big insult to our country. I will tell you that.
Oh, wow.
The country to get it.
Wow.
It should get it because there's never been anything like it. Think of it. So if this happens, I think it will. I don't say that lightly because I know more about deals than anybody. This is what my whole life was based on. And they can change, and this can certainly change. But we have just about everybody. We have one signature that we need, and that signature will pay in hell if they don't sign. I hope they sign for their own good and create something really great. But
Yeah, right.
it's just like such a. And then we have Putin and Zelensky. The easiest one of them all. I said, that one I'll get done. I thought that was going to be first. The other was much harder. Some of them. Azerbaijan. This was going on for 36 years.
Come on, Azerbaijan and the other country you talk about, they have never been at war.
The 2 countries, they were great. They were great. I knew immediately. I knew as soon as I started talking to them, we're going to solve that war, and we did. Now they're so happy. Now they're friends. One said he's been president for 32 years, 22 years. He said, for 22 years, I did nothing but kill his people. They were in the room together at the Oval Office. And they started off spread like this. They have the beautiful Resolute test. And one was here, and one was here. You couldn't get further away. That's the furthest I've ever seen 2 people in front of me. And as the hour went by, they got closer, closer, closer. And at the end of the hour, we had it done. And they hugged and hugged and hugged. And I said,
They hugged and hugged and hugged.
and you're going to remain friends. And I spoke to them, one of them the other day. He said, no, he's now my friend. But for 22 years, he's been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years. And the other guy, great guy. Too.
What was the comment that you said about the arrows? All I can see is the arrows.
He said for 7 years.
I can't see the comment.
22 years. All I did was kill his people. That's all I've done. I said, well, we're going to put a stop to that. So we solved that. So it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. You're saving Kosovo and Serbia. You're saving so many lives doing this if you can do it. But our people deserve nothing less than the very best. And we're never going to let them down. And if we can solve wars instead of you having to fight wars, wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's why one of the first executive orders I signed upon taking office was to restore the principle of merit. That's the most important word, other than the word tariff. I love tariffs. Most beautiful word.
I just made you a monitor, Chad. I just made you a monitor.
Favorite word. I love the word tariff. We're becoming rich as hell. We have a big case of.
I just made you a monitor. What did they flag? What did they flag?
And we have great legal grounds, but you still have a case.
Yeah, I don't see it. It just says, but does but he does what he wants to. As we've seen, he's got more power than Diddy. That's the one I see.
And they really hit me hard on it. They said, what about love? What about religion? What about God? What about wife, family? I got killed when I said tariff is my favorite word. So I changed it. It's now my 5th favorite word. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But they hit me hard. But it is. I mean, when you look at, we've taken in trillions of dollars. We're rich again.
Where's all this money going? Is what I want to know. If we're taking in trillions and trillions of dollars,
Other countries are taking advantage.
I want to know.
For years and years. You know that better than anybody.
He's the white Diddy Clinton. Ain't got shit on him. I bet he's got 2 girls under the platform. Yeah, you think he's getting a Monica Lewinsky right now? His hands went down. His hands went down. His hands did go down. Oh boy, look how he's standing.
What does that mean? He said, we don't know where it came. I said, check the tariff shelf. No, sir, the tariff
If he
shelf
looks
is
down,
sector.
it's a wrap. If he looks down, it's a wrap.
Check it.
If he looks down, it's a wrap, yo.
So you're right. It came from tariffs. 31 billion. That's enough to buy a lot of battleships, Admiral. To use an old term. I think we should maybe start thinking about battleships, by the way. You know, we have a Secretary of the Navy came to me because I look at the Iowa out in California and I look at
That's why he's always making those faces.
I used to watch Victory at Sea. I love Victory at Sea. Look at these admirals. It's got to be your all-time favorite, black and white. When I look at those ships, they came with the destroyers alongside of them, and man, nothing was going to stop. They were 20 deep, and they were in a straight line, and there was nothing going to stop them. And we actually talked about, you know, those ships. Some people would say, no, that's old technology. I don't know. I don't think it's old technology when you look at those guns, but it's something we're actually considering. The concept of battleship, nice 6-inch sides, solid steel, not aluminum that melts if it looks at a missile coming at it. It starts melting as the missile's about 2 miles away. Now those ships, they don't make them that way anymore, but you look at it and your secretary likes it, and I'm sort of open to it. And bullets are a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of reasons. I should take a vote, but I'm afraid to take that vote because I may get voted out on that one. But I tell you, it's something we're seriously considering.
That's why he's making them faces.
Powers. They were big powers. Mean and scary as you could be. So we're looking at that. One of the biggest cases that we won was the decision of the United States Supreme Court to allow us to proceed on the word merit. So those 2 words are right up there. So this is, I would say, the opposite of you ask for a definition, the opposite of political correctness. We went through political correct where you had to have people that were totally unfit to be doing what you're doing for many reasons I won't get into. But for many reasons, they were unfit. Now, it's all based on merit. That was such.
I'm out. I'm about to go to sleep now. Fuck this. I can't listen to this no more.
With Real Commute, it's easy to find a home closer to what's ever close to your heart. You don't recycle. Realtor.com.